And then, can you tell us also, apart from the way forward, can you tell us also, this particular activity that you have undertaken, how much have you saved Ghanaians from these corrupt activities that has bedeviled the country and taken so much from Ghanaian taxpayers? Thank you.
Honorable member, proceed to ask the question. But because we don't have any evidence of evaluation of how much oral has been able to save, proceed to answer the question minus that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. And let me commend my big sister for her question and thank her for her kind words. She's been one of our mothers. We all go to her for advice, and she's always generous with her counseling and guidance. Mr. Chairman, as I said in my introduction, one of the jobs that I am so proud of, and I'll remain ever so proud of, is this sacrificial job to chair oral. Operation Recover All Loot, which is a major plank in President Mahama's anti-corruption drive. The establishment of oral is such a master stroke, and President Mahama ought to be commended. I can reveal to you today that since oral was established, just by the establishment of the team and we receiving information from the general public, we have saved this country 20 bungalows which were going to be demolished. 20. And I can provide the list. Bungalows that were being occupied by staff of Research Department of the Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Gender, the CSIR. Bulldozers had moved in, but because they called the Oral Secretariat, and we then called National Security to take action, they were able to protect these bungalows. I have not added the Du Bois Center, the NDA lands, which were about to be captured. So President Mahama has saved this country a great deal with the establishment of oral, and all of us must support oral. Now we are having an international discussion. Many people forget that oral has international dimensions. I need not remind our colleagues here that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has been an oral champion in the international arena. Why do I say that? He has been advocating for reparation, that our colonial masters who looted Africa, they should bring it back, return our monies, our artifacts, return the loot. So I'm so shocked that our friends who started oral even before President Mahama won the election in the international arena, when they come home, they don't want to hear about oral. This is quite remarkable. You know, and I would have thought that charity will begin at home. You want the Brits and the French and the Dutch and others to return the loot. But back home, you want looters to go scot-free. Let's not do anything about looting. I find it really contradictory. So let's see some consistency. The other international dimension about oral is that if you check the ECOWAS protocols, the AU Charter, and all the UN charters and all of that, anti-corruption is a major plank. According to the World Bank, Africa is losing about $88 billion every year because of corruption. $88 billion, and those are conservative estimates. Imagine what that money, if it stays in the continent, used for the development of the people's welfare, how our continent will look like. So as for oral, all of us must support it. And if you look at what has gone on in this country over the last 8 years, look, I have a tall list of monies that can be retrieved. SkyTrain, we can get our $2.5 million back. Ejapa, we can get our $12 million back. National Cathedral, we can get our $58 million back.
Honorable member, these are projections.
Yes.
Are these projections?
Projections.
Honorable member.
Projections.
Honorable
no,
member.
but I think that it's important to contextualize so that, you see, when we talk about oral, people discuss oral in abstract terms. This House, Mr. Chairman, and it's unfortunate that the ranking member is not here. Mr. Chairman, if you pardon me.
Honorable member, is there a document that you want to refer to?
Yes, please, and to also table the document.
You need to seek leave to refer to it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I want to first secure the document, and then I will table it with your permission. Pardon me, I have quite a number of documents here.
Please, just conclude your answer on this, then we can make progress. Honorable member.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
We have a very tall list today.
Yeah. Details of what? Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have found it. It is a report of this House. Your report, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect. A report of the ad hoc committee to investigate the procurement contract between the government of the Republic of Ghana and His Highness Sheikh Ahmed Dalmouk Al Maktoum and SL Global for the supply of Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccines. Mr. Chairman, this document, submitted to Mr. Speaker, adopted by this House, August 2021, signed by the Honorable Alexander K. Afenyo-Markin, Chairman of the Ad Hoc Committee. This was their conclusion. Paragraph 12.4. Quote, with your permission, Mr. Chairman. The committee urges the Minister for Finance to take steps to recover the money due to the Republic in respect of the amount of $2,850,000 United States dollars, so $2.85 million, equivalent at the time to 16,331,640 Ghana cedis, being the cost of the Sputnik V vaccines that were procured wrongly. Adopted by this House. So, Afenyo-Markin, the Honorable Afenyo-Markin, signed this report.
I was part of that committee.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Yafo. Yes, I'd even forgotten that. So, even as a House, we have been doing oral with the support of Honorable Afenyo-Markin, signing documents, also concerned about monies that have been looted that we cannot find. So why will you fight President Mahama when you have some of these reports that you yourselves have signed, urging retrieval from a finance minister? So, as for oral, it has come to stay. The second part of a question about the future of oral. Let me place on record that our job at this point is just to collect the information.
Member, just limit yourself to the scope of the question.
Yes, yes. She asked about the future of oral. It's important. And many Ghanaians have been asking since my appointment. Many Ghanaians have been asking. The way forward for oral. The way forward for oral is that all the information that have come from patriotic Ghanaians, we will be handing over our report soon, in the next few days, to His Excellency the President, the appointor, and then he will decide with his Attorney General on the second phase of oral, which is the execution phase, the retrieval phase.
Thank you very
phase.
much.
So that is the future of oral. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable nominee, I am a lady from a constituency and an MP that has 2 countries that border us. That is Burkina Faso to the north and Togo to the east. There are a lot of concerns about the unrest, let me use that word, that especially is coming up from the Burkina side. We have a lot of unapproved roads, and because of where we are coming from, you cannot tell who is who immediately, because we look alike. Basically, we speak the same language. We are afraid of spillovers because of the people will say Boko conflict, and I will say the Kusag conflict, because it entails a whole lot. Will you take it on yourself as a minister, if approved, to make sure that you work hand in hand with the 2 countries, although Burkina Faso has opted out from ECOWAS, but we are well aware that there is some leverage that we should work hand in hand with them. Will you work with them to ensure that we bring an end to these issues? Because those who are there and causing these problems, which can readily escalate, are also human beings and need to be listened to. Will you do that? Thank you.
I can assure you, Honorable Hajia Ladi, that that will be pursued. It is a priority of President Mahama. That's why he's appointed a special envoy to the Sahel in the person of Lieutenant Colonel Beflo Latte. And you are close to the challenge, and I'm glad about how eloquently you speak about it. I mean, those who think we should leave them to be on their own, no. I mean, when the violence escalates, we will be the immediate harboring point for refugees, for even some of these, extremists who will come in with weapons. There are small arms and sophisticated weapons that will, be brought into our jurisdiction. And don't forget, we are already having challenges in Boku. So it presents such a toxic mix. And so if we do not help to quench the fires in these our neighboring countries, we are at real risk, and there will be no stability. And what we have going for us is our stability. Without peace and stability, nothing else can be achieved. It is so fundamental. And so you have our fullest assurances that my marching orders from President Mahama is to support the special envoy to make sure that we are able to pursue peace and get our 3 neighboring countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, back into the ECOWAS fold, and we'll remain committed to that.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Thank you, Chairman. I don't have any further questions. I just wish you all the best, and I do my heart off for you. Thank you, and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I will recognize Alasan Uma.
Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity. Minister nominee, congratulations, my brother and comrade. I haven't listened to you and your answers regarding the oral. I know how I could tell the selflessness and patriotic ideals and your initial left-centered ideology. So I want to find out how, now that you are a foreign minister or as a foreign minister, how do you intend to marry the two? Because on the resume, you are the chairperson or chairman of Oral. And you are also becoming, God's willing, the next foreign minister. How do you intend to marry the two? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. A very brilliant
Thank you
question.
very much, but let me place on record that you are not yet a foreign minister unless you are giving the nod. Thank you. Proceed to answer the question.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. A very brilliant question. And as I indicated earlier, Oral's mandate will continue even from this first phase of information gathering into the second phase of actual retrievals, recoveries, prosecutions, when the Attorney General decides that there is basis for that. Now, your brilliant question about how I can also continue to support the process. Within the international arena, we have mechanisms of recovering loot which have been shipped to various, havens and destinations. If you take, for example, what happened to the Abacha loot in Nigeria, they needed international collaboration, and the World Bank was very supportive to help Nigeria recover hundreds of millions of dollars of the Abacha loot, particularly from Switzerland and other destinations. So I see my role as a role that will help. I'm not going to say that Oral is behind me. No, even though the next phase, the Attorney General will be leading the effort. But when he calls on me to bring in the international dimension, facilitate how to work with international organizations to retrieve loot in other jurisdictions, certainly I'll be more than happy, relying on the Nigerian model, how they use their international partners to retrieve the Abacha loot. I think that we can also use that to retrieve loot that is hiding in all manner of places for the development of our people. Our people need that money for roads, for schools, for hospitals, for good water, and we have to help them retrieve their money.
Thank you. Any further question? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm satisfied with the answer. My second question is, and this is due to, I don't know how to call it, is it brain drain? Our youth and Ghanaian domestic workers who ran to the Gulf have been abused severally. We see pictures, we see photographs or videos. Want to find out, do you have any plan or what do you intend to do to stop this kind of abuses?
Well, thank you very much. As I indicated earlier, this is one of the priority areas His Excellency President Mahama has asked me to pursue, how to make sure that we use our foreign policy to create jobs, but in creating jobs, we make sure that we have bilateral agreements and ensure that these jobs are safe, properly done. So it's not just some agencies who are exploiting, vulnerable Ghanaians because they want jobs. So be rest assured, we are not only going to be verbally condemning what has happened, but we are going to take concrete steps with a new economic diplomacy outlook that seeks to create jobs for our young people in other jurisdictions. Sign proper contracts, bring all of these people within a regulated space, and make sure that our young people benefit. That is the surest way of ending all of this exploitation and the violation of the human rights of our people.
Chairman, I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you. I give the floor to Honorable Vincent Asafua.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. let me use this opportunity to congratulate the nominee on his appointment as the Minister for Foreign Affairs. My question to you, Honorable Nominee, is that, and I will try to give a certain background. On the 4th of September, 2021, you granted an interview on Newsfile, Joy FM. You stated that traveling on a private jet jeopardizes the president's security, and that we need a presidential travel policy to regulate how president of our republic travels. Now, just a few days after the president of the republic was sworn in, specifically on the 17th of January 2025, His Excellency the President, President Mahama, used a private jet to travel to Gambia. He also used the same private jet to Senegal. Now my question to you is, will you condemn this action of the president as you have done in previous times when presidents use private jets? And if given the nod to become the Minister for Foreign Affairs, when should we expect the presidential travel policy that you proposed to the people of Ghana?
Thank you very much. The first question is, will you condemn, then when you come to office, the travel policy?
Well, thank you very much. It is important for us to put this matter in the proper context, and let us not compare, apples and, if you like, pepper, because you just can't compare them. My campaign against the non-use of the presidential jet, which this parliament approved $37 million at the time for the purchase in 2008 under the President Kufuor regime, was largely about protecting the public purse. A cost-saving concern is what I had. That why do we have a functioning presidential jet in pristine condition, and we will be spending 20,000 euros an hour renting luxury jets? That is the matter I raised, and I have the Hansard here, the Hansard of 16 June 2021. I filed an urgent question, and Mr. Chairman, if you come to column 012 with your permission, I'm not going to read, I'm just summarizing. I know that time is of the essence. You see here from column 012, the Minister for Defense at the time, the Honorable Nitiwo, coming up with all kinds of excuses that you couldn't even shower in our presidential jet and all of that, which we found bizarre. So, put my concerns in proper context. It is about wastage, profligacy, the dissipation of scarce resources. That's the fundamental concern. Now, in the case of President Mahama, President Mahama is using his brother's private jet without paying for it. We are not being charged 20,000 euros an hour by the celebrated entrepreneur and business mogul Ibrahim Mahama. What the presidency has explained is that in the initial days of the presidency, they asked the Ghana Air Force to present a report, conduct an assessment and present a report on whether the presidential jet was fit for purpose. The Ghana Air Force had delayed in their submission, and in the interim, his brother stepped in. We didn't pay for it. There was no financial loss to the state. I can confirm to you that since the Ghana Air Force presented its report, I remember that on the floor of this house, the former Minister for Defense told us that he can confirm that the jet is in great condition. And I found that very revealing, because when I was on this campaign in 2021, he was telling us the jet wasn't fit for purpose. But suddenly, under a different president, it's such a great jet which can be used. So we are glad that there's been a U-turn. The Honorable Netiwo has confirmed that the jet is in good use. And I can confirm that President Mahama has since resumed the use of the Falcon 900 EXE, Ghana's presidential jet. Now, on the second aspect of your question about the travel policy, this is a matter that I feel strongly about. And if given the opportunity to sit at cabinet, I will propose that Ghana formulates a presidential travel policy. If you take the United States, for example, when the president uses Air Force One for campaigns, for private use, he is made to reimburse the American taxpayer. So every campaign, they have an independent committee that monitors. If you use the presidential jet for private business, private fundraising, for campaigns, you pay back the fuel, the cost of using it, and all of that. So, and then they also have clear guidelines on who can use those jets and how it should be maintained and all of that. We don't have that. So it is important to pursue that policy. And I can assure you that I remain committed to it, and I think that it is time for Ghana to have a presidential travel policy.
Any further question? But remember, you asked 2 in 1 question. Condemnation
I actually have a follow-up.
policy.
I have a follow-up.
You have a follow-up?
Yeah, I have a follow-up.
Very well.
Honorable nominee, granted that His Excellency the former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo engaged in wastage and profligacy, in your own words. On the 29th of March 2021, while you were paying tribute to the former president of Tanzania, President John Magufuli, on the floor of Parliament, you praised him for placing a ban on what you term frivolous foreign travels by government officials. Frivolous foreign travels by government officials. And if my memory serves me right, you made a post on Facebook allegedly saying that President Magufuli was flying in economy, which turned out not to be true. But now, as a foreign affairs minister...
Please, for the record, I've never put out such a post. Never. I only paid tribute to Magufuli in Parliament. I didn't talk about economy travel. Just for the record, Mr. Chairman.
Nominee, that should be your answer. So allow him to finish asking the question.
Honorable nominee, I'm suggesting to you that you made a Facebook post, and in that Facebook post, you indicated that President Magufuli has been flying in economy, and for that matter, other African countries should also learn from him. Now, as a foreign affairs minister, obviously you will be engaged in a number of travels, specifically outside the country. And I am informed that foreign affairs ministers travel on either first class or business class. Now, if you were to make a round trip to New York in the United States of America with Emirates, you will be paying around 250,000 Ghana cedis on first class. Now, if you decide to do business class, you will be doing about 140,000 Ghana cedis. In your own words, His Excellency the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, engage in wastage, profligacy. If you want to do economy, you'll be doing around 27,000 Ghana cedis. Would you decide to use economy class ticket, or you do business class?
The first question is, did you make that Facebook post?
No, I did not.
Well,
And
he's making
let
reference
me-
to
let
making
me-
reference to contribution on the floor and a Facebook post. And he interjected to say that the Facebook post, no. Is that not it? So now that you have the opportunity to answer the question, did you make those Facebook posts? What was your contribution on the floor?
So my contribution on the floor was to eulogize President Magufuli, and I stand by it. I think he's one of the greatest African leaders we've had, and it's a shame that he didn't live long. I mean, just like Professor Mills, he could not complete his term, and President Magufuli did a lot of things, a lot of cost-saving measures, including even reviewing how they celebrate their national days and all of that, renegotiating, their agreements in the extractive industry and all of that. Great leader, and I admire such leaders who protect the public purse genuinely, not just by rhetoric. Having said that, I would also want to place on record that when given the nod as foreign minister, I shall never ever rent a 20,000 euros an hour luxury jet. Never ever. I shall never ever do that.
Please, Honorable Asafwa, it is not the answer you want.
So you have my full assurances. Now, on the matter of business class economy, Honorable Chair, I am wondering why members of Parliament who fly business class don't want the foreign minister to fly business class. I'm really wondering what this is about, and where they are headed. But I can assure you, Honorable Chairman, that I don't care a hoot which class I travel. If we get into economic difficulties and there is a policy that ministers should travel economy, I am happy to travel economy, because even as MP, there are times that I travel economy when I can, and I don't see it as a big deal. Indeed, when I met the Venerable Dr. Obed Asamoah, he told me that for the first 7 years, in the heady days of the revolution, as foreign minister, he was flying economy. Didn't take anything away from him. So I really don't care if there's a policy that let's fly economy. And don't forget that even about cost-saving measures, sometimes it depends on the airlines. As minister, I'll be interested in cost-saving measures. So if there is a travel, it is not only the class that you travel that you can save money. Even the airlines, can KLM take you there cheaper? Can Africa World or Delta or Kenya Airways or Ethiopian Airlines take you there cheaper? Give me the options, and let's look at what is in the national interest. Then size of delegation. I can assure you that what we saw in the recent past, where more than 300 people can claim to be going for a COP27, President Mahama would not tolerate that. So even size of delegation, you cannot decide to fly economy. But if you pack 1,000 people, 1,000 officials, that you are flying economy, you haven't saved the country anything. So we should be more nuanced about these discussions. It's not as simplistic as it's being presented.
I recognize the minority leader on a follow-up question.
No, it's okay.
Very well, he said it's okay. So, Honorable Asafwa, your second question.
I would have wished that I would have another follow-up question, but it's fine. Let me ask my second question. Honorable nominee, you should be very familiar with the struggles of members of parliament, especially since the inception of the Fourth Republic. The struggles that they go through with many aspects of their work and life, especially with transportation. You and I are not Accra boys. We all came from our various regions and came to Accra. And so obviously, when you are elected as a member of parliament and you get to Accra, there are issues of transportation for members of parliament. Now, in the 8th Parliament, in spite of these glaring difficulties that are faced by members of Parliament.
Honourable Member, your question, please.
Honourable Chairman, with the greatest of respect, just 30 seconds to lay a background. It's not offensive, respectfully. I'm doing so.
You call this a 30
on behalf
seconds.
of the people of Ghana, so I beg you, respectfully. In spite of all these difficulties that colleagues go through, you vehemently oppose the grant of car loans to members of parliament. Now I have in my hand a report by the City Newsroom dated the 10th of July 2021. And that publication, the headline that I have in my hand says that government must stop facilitating MPs' car loans. Government must stop facilitating MPs' car loans. Now, did you, as a member of parliament at the time, receive a car loan? And if yes, did you purchase a vehicle with that money?
So, Honourable Asafwa, I want to get the question clear. The City News, how is he attributed to the nominee before us? Because the author definitely is City News.
Especially Honourable nominee, Honourable Chairman, I made mention of the fact that the Honourable nominee made a statement which was captured by City News, attributed to the Honourable nominee, which is the Honourable Ablakwa. So it is a statement that is attributed to him to have said that government must stop facilitating car loans for members of parliament.
Honourable Asafwa, the difficulty that I have is that City News attributed something to Honourable Ablakwa. Now, you are assuming
I said he granted
that
an interview.
once the City News have done that, he is the author of this document. So you need to first of all
allow him to respond.
find out from him whether he is responsible for making that particular statement, and you proceed to ask your question.
Very much so. So my first question to you, Honourable nominee, did you make that comment in an interview that you granted to City News? And if yes, did you receive the car loan? And did you also use that money, if indeed you received it, to purchase a car?
Well, thank you very much for that question. I'm very happy that you bring this up. And I have always maintained that we need to review the car loans arrangement for members of parliament. I am not saying that members of parliament should not be entitled to cars provided for by the state. But the model, how it is done, government going for a loan for MPs, which is then deducted from their salaries. Our colleagues in the executive, our colleagues in the judiciary, there's a car pool where you have access to those cars. And then when you are done with your term or you are being moved to another place, it is left behind for the next person. So I was advocating for a different model, because this model, this approach, did not sit well with a vast majority of Ghanaians. And that is a position that I still maintain. Why do we have different regimes? Those who serve in the executive, those who serve in the judiciary, they have a different regime. Nobody is going for a low
walking. He will be able to walk from.
There's a carpool where you can access vehicles for use. And then those in the legislature have a different arrangement. That is what I was opposed to. Now, the second leg of your question. Yes, I received the funds, but I didn't use it for a Land Cruiser. I used it to buy a combined harvester for the rice farmers in my constituency, and the records are there. So you can check that for yourself.
Well, I have a follow-up question.
Any further
I have a
question?
follow-up question. You were advocating against the model of granting car loans to members of parliament, in your own words. In another breath, you say that you took the funds, you took the car loan, and used it to purchase for a combined harvester. Where is the principle? Something that you advocate against? Something that you advocate against? You go ahead to take it. My question to you, did the farmers pay back that money to you?
Honorable nominee, the question overruled. Please go ahead and ask another question.
My last question to you, honorable nominee. I have had the opportunity to listen to you a number of times, and one of them, I shared a platform with you on TV3. In that interview, you had an opportunity to make a presentation to the people of Ghana, about 30-40 minutes presentation, where you indicated that there is a supposedly $84 billion. That is a culmination of a number of corruption scandals that, in your estimation, you think that oil need to pursue that amount of money, $84 billion. Inclusive of that allegation is a drip component that you mentioned. I was a deputy minister for local government, and there was a contract between DACF and GA Plant Pool. Now, as part of the 84 billion, you included in that 84 billion that there is an aspect of it which is a drip component, that you have included it as part of corruption scandals. Now, the contract amount of that drip contract is about $173 million. Now, with that $173 million that you have included in the $84 billion that is supposed to be, as it were, collected, or take that for the people of Ghana, how is that a corruption scandal, or how, in your estimation, how is that termed as corruption in your own definition?
Thank you very much. We'll take a short break for just 5 minutes whilst we remain seated. Honourable members, you are welcome back. Honourable nominee, do you want the question to be repeated, or you go ahead and provide the answer?
Well, Chairman, I'll go ahead. I remember the question
Very well, very well.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, the figure I put out in that white oral presentation on TV3, and I subsequently did same on Joy FM's news file. The figure is $18 billion. I selected just about 30 of the scandals that plagued this country. So it's 18, not 84 billion dollars. And then cedis, I should say, 18 billion cedis. And then let me also state that in the work that I did as part of my oversight constitutional mandate into the District Road Improvement Project matter, I discovered a number of infractions. First of all, I discovered that the procurement law was violently breached and mutilated. It was single-sourced under the emergency provisions of the law, which is clear abuse of the law, a clear violation. Then also the pricing. I discovered that the unit price for the drip equipment were outrageously inflated. Because what I did as part of my oversight work was to send an email to the company and to ask for quotations. And when those quotations arrived, it was clear that in some instances, some of the equipment had been doubled, the value of those equipment. So the conservative estimate from the oversight work I did is that Ghana could have obtained those drip equipment if we did it competitively and there was competitive pricing without the inflationary pricing that took place. We could have got them for about $75 million and not the $187 million that we were billed with. And I still maintain that Ghana did not receive value for money so far as the DRIP project is concerned. And finally, let me say that I found the Vice President's conduct in this affair quite problematic. In opposition, he was vehemently opposed to single sourcing, and he did put out consistently posts that single sourcing.
Said the Vice President.
Yes, the former Vice President.
Former.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Former Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who says that he is the drip champion. He says this whole drip thing is his idea. That's what he told the country. And he indeed asked all those who were trying to take credit, including members of Parliament, to back off, that it is his idea. In the course of my oversight work, I found his conduct not consistent with what he promised the people of this country, that he will make sure that projects are competitive, that sole sourcing, inflationary pricing will be a thing of the past. It is regrettable, to say the least, that he was not consistent. And when he had the opportunity with this, his flagship DRIP initiative, he departed from what he assured the nation he will do as Vice President. So those are the concerns that I have about DRIP, and I am hoping that Ghana will be able to retrieve some money. Fortunately, only 25% has been paid. Not all the liabilities have been met. So I have encouraged the new Mahama administration to renegotiate the DRIP initiative so that we can save money, because my conservative estimate is that it's been inflated by more than $100 million. And there is a need to save money. $100 million can do so much for an IMF bailout country. There's so much that we can do with $100 million. And I'll encourage my colleague, the Honorable Asifwa, to get close to me. I can share some of the work we have done on this with you. And when you see yourself, I'm sure you'll become an advocate. You will join me that we should renegotiate the DRIP intervention.
Thank you very much.
I have a follow-up question.
You have a follow-up on the $84 billion, as you said, that he is saying it is 18 billion cedis, and the DRIP.
The follow-up stems from the fact that, one, he indicates that the pricing, in his own words, was outrageous. And it was inflated. And he has done some work, and because of that, in his estimation, the pricing was indeed outrageous. Now, he said he has done some work, and I have also done some work, and I'm happy to share that with you. Honorable nominee, in my hands here is the contract itself, and maybe I'll go into specifics. Government bought a tipper truck for $78,000. So if you say it was outrageous, inflated, now the big question is, what is the market value for such an amount? Now I will take you to Zonda. Zonda is one of the well-noted agencies who
Honorable
sells
Asafwa.
tipper trucks.
Honorable Asafwa, with all due respect,
My question stems from
he said he has done some work,
and he said it's
and
outrageous.
you have done some work.
Yes.
Now, the amount being outrageous was based on the assessment of the work that he has done, but not your own. So the way you are going about the question, that is what is calling for worry.
Honorable
Because the
Chairman.
work that you have done is not the same as the work that he has done.
Honorable Chairman,
Your indicators may not be the same as his indicators.
respectfully, I am saying that in the contract, government bought a tipper truck for $78,000. I am also referring the honorable nominee to Zonda, an agency that deals in tipper truck. When you go to Zonda today, Zonda sells a tipper truck for about $82,000 or $83,000. And government bought a tipper truck for $78,000. With this background, how do you term this as outrageously inflated contract? Because I don't see it.
Well, I don't know whether Zonda is the cheapest in the world, but I would ask the nominee to provide a question.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, clearly my good friend, the Honorable Asifwa, has to do more work. As for this work he has done, with all due respect, it leaves much to be desired. For Zonda's trucks, they pay duties. You imported your trucks free of duties. I did an RTI request, and I asked the DACF administrator, did you pay duties on the trucks? They said no. Zonda is importing their trucks, paying duties. So of course, you are not. I keep talking about comparing apples with pepper, and it has to stop. Then when you talk about we bought tipper truck, there are many types of tipper truck. What kind of model? Which year? What are the specs? So, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, the oversimplification of matters is not helpful. And I am willing and ready to submit the work that we did. I say procurement breaches, no value for money, inflationary pricing, and it's a fact, $100 million. And you should stop comparing vehicles that have been imported with duty and those that you are buying without paying duties. It's not helpful, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you very much. The questioner said he is also involved. Are you involved?
With the greatest of respect, Chairman, please let me be.
Recognize Honorable Shaibu.
Chairman, let me thank you very much for the opportunity. Sami, congratulations.
Thank you very much, my good brother, who supplies me smokes.
Sami, a well-deserved nomination. I wish you very well in this new role. Sami, let's move away from this corruption, oral, and whatever, and get to Pan-Africanism so that you can cool down a bit. A movement that has come to stay, a movement that has taken the whole world. I note that in the last 2 hours, you have mentioned Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Tell us briefly, don't go to your involvement, what's your motivation on Pan-Africanism? Thank you.
Pan-Africanism is the only way the African continent can be liberated. As the Osagifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said, nobody will care about our fortunes and our destinies more than ourselves. The reason why we are the most endowed continent in terms of resources, and yet we are the poorest, is because we have not taken control, the commanding heights of our economy, as President Achampon will say. The Pan-African agenda is for us to take control of our resources, to chart our own path, not to be pawns, not to engage in proxy wars with others. That is the key to our emancipation and our liberation. And I see in President Mahama a leader who believes in Pan-Africanism. And if you look at his priority areas, even the first countries he has visited, as president, he's yet to go to Europe or Asia or anywhere. It should tell you immediately, you know, where his priorities are and how he remains committed to the Pan-African agenda. And to conclude practically, I think that we should take a second look at our negotiation skills and abilities as a people. And it's one area that I'll be seeking the assistance of experts to beef up capacity at the foreign ministry. You look at a lot of agreements that we get into, and it's clear that we could have gotten a better deal if we had really put Pan-Africanism at the center, looked at the continent's interests, and subjected all other secondary interests, you know, out of the window. We can then get better. And I don't want to go into specifics because of how sensitive these matters are, but really at the core of our retarded development is the fact that we have not really imbibed, you know, the philosophy of Pan-Africanism as the likes of Du Bois, Kwame Nkrumah, Padmore, and others espouse. And I think that the time has come for us to really trace our roots, you know, to genuine Pan-Africanism.
Thank you very much. Any further question? Then I proceed to give the floor to Honorable Jerry Shaib.
Honorable nominee, congratulations. Very well done. Before asking the question, I've made an observation. I just want to run by you. First of all, I've watched you over the period, and I think you have grown very well. And I also think that people have watched you and you've done very well for yourself. Save that today, before the process started itself, my observation was that you were a bit upset, and throughout the vetting process, you've also used a word like, I don't give a hoot, which I do not think that for a diplomat, you should be seen to be using such words. It's a general observation. And if I do not like you, I won't tell you. Now to my question. I feel that Russia currently has presence in the region, in the region. And the strategies Russia use include the social media propaganda and cyber terrorism. Several media houses have reported cyber attacks to their online portals, which were traced to Russian origin. What's Ghana's foreign policy in reference to Russia wanting to have regional control or influence? And especially against the backdrop that my foreign minister nominee has been in Russia recently to help His Excellency the President launch a book on my first coup d'etat.
Well, thank you very much. And your foreign minister nominee has also been to the United States recently, has been to France recently, has been to the United Kingdom recently, and has been to Ukraine recently. So let's place all of that on record. And I would like to proceed with caution that I do not think that, looking at how sensitive this role is and how, our foreign policy, which enjoins us to pursue positive neutrality, to be friends of all and enemies to none, I do not want to single out any country in this engagement for condemnation, for obvious reasons. I mean, when it comes from some other people, it depends on how it will be taken. But if it comes from me, even if I'm responding to a question, it can be taken as a position of the new government, and it can create a diplomatic row or a tiff, or even escalate into something else which we do not want. So I will plead that, Mr. Chairman, you permit me to stay away from condemning specific countries. If you want me to answer generally,
permitted.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Any further question? That is my foreign minister nominee, and I like the response. My second question, I actually had the opportunity of asking the same question to the transport minister nominee, and it has to do with the third-class treatment Ghanaian passengers face. It's a situation that for me is worrying. We are made to pay high fares, plane fares. We are given third-class planes or aircrafts. We are given terminals that are virtually unused or abandoned. And in fact, we are even served food on planes which one can easily decline taking those. Mr. Foreign Minister nominee, any assurances as to how you are going to ensure that vis-a-vis what the Nigerians use, what the South Africans use, you are going to have Ghanaians use get similar treatment? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Member, for this question. And it's a very important matter. And you will recall, if you go through the Hansard, you will see that this is a matter that I have raised on a number of occasions. And it's a matter we have to address as a country. And it comes back to the earlier point I was making. Our negotiation skills, our negotiation abilities, these airline operators are not doing us favors. They are here for business, to make profit. It's a commercial entity, and it has to be a win-win situation. you see other countries demanding high standards, even the fleet, the quality of the service, and we've had situations where you have airline operators even bringing aircrafts that pose security risk, that are not safe for the use of our passengers. So one of the things we are going to do when given the nod is to collaborate effectively with the various sector ministries. What I like about the foreign service is that we are there for all, we serve everybody, we facilitate everybody's priority and everybody's engagement. So the transport ministry, the various ministries that will be responsible for negotiating some of these terms, including the finance ministry, we will facilitate and help in the coordination. And if we are invited to be part of those meetings, we will state clearly that Ghana deserves better, and we are not going to accept this discrimination. Related to that, another matter I'm very passionate about is how our visa applicants are treated. It's a matter I'm going to address strongly and forcefully. I mean, you apply for visa and you are treated as though you are some slave. Even a decent place, a waiting area. I mean, I see sometimes senior citizens, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of our country, and they're just abandoned there. The vagaries of the weather, they don't care if it's raining or if the sun is so scorching, nobody cares. These missions don't seem to care. We will not accept that. And we are going to engage with our ambassadors that there ought to be respect for our citizens and for our people. So be rest assured that in all of its, variants and features, we will stand up for Ghana and insist that Ghanaians' rights are protected, and it's going to be a major area that we'll focus on as a ministry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further question?
Yes, just a follow-up. I was still going to indicate the issue of visa acquisition, and to still ask, I've seen that you have a broader knowledge of what the issues are, but I didn't see you adduce or give any solutions, because you just behaved like me. I know these are the problems, but what are the solutions? One of which is, are we even considering to expand or extend our visa-free countries?
Yeah, thank you very much. I've been trying to manage, the chairman's restriction of the time and also providing solution. That is why you may not be hearing a lot more, but I can really give you greater detail if I will be allowed by the chair. On visa acquisitions, yes, I believe that we should have more visa waiver agreements. I'm an advocate of that, so that we can waive visa restrictions. I'm also in full support of permitting Africans to travel to Ghana without requiring visas, and it's one of the final decisions that President Akufo-Addo took. I can commit that after discussions with President Mahama, it's something that's going to continue, because as a Pan-Africanist, he believes in that. We'll just have to make sure that we look at all the security aspects so that it doesn't become a medium for all kinds of, unwanted elements coming into our society to undermine the peace and stability which we enjoy. So the ministry is currently looking at the implementation, how to make sure that it works in the best interest of our people. So be rest assured that visa waiver agreements, you're going to see more of that. The last time we approved that of Colombia, South Africa, and I know there are quite a number in the works. We are going to work on a lot more visa waiver agreements.
Thank you very much. Any further question? Your last question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. So, Honorable Nominee, I've I've listened to you quietly throughout your submissions. One of the things I picked was your consistent conversation on unity, and basically narrowing it down to African unity. But I also observed that in the president's release, the EI, there was no consideration for Ministry of Foreign Affairs and regional integration. And against the backdrop that the focus is now to some extent on the silent issues, and I don't know, I'm confused. Do you want to expatiate on why we do not have regional integration? And have you had the opportunity of talking to my very senior sister, Honorable Shelley Ayakuboche, on all of this?
Well, thank you very much. You are right that the new EI simply refers to the ministry as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I have inquired, and I have been duly informed that regional integration will remain a priority area. But the thinking is that let's not limit the scope of the ministry. That name suggests as though the ministry has one focus, even though regional integration is important. So we'll still maintain the Regional Integration Bureau. We are still going to be champions of African integration. Everybody knows that that is Ghana's forte. We are the foremost nation since the days of the Osajefo to advocate for an integrated, united union of African states. So that will remain a priority, but it's just a simple nomenclature issue. On engagement with the Honorable Foreign Minister, you do know, have continued to engage with the minister and her deputies when I served as ranking member. Sometimes because of the oversight, you will understand that relations may not be as great because of the oversight, and how passionate I have been about protecting the public purse. But it is definitely without malice, and I would put on record that we have great working relations. I have enormous respect for her, and I'm going to support her at the Commonwealth, where she has become the Secretary General. And you do know that our flag bearer at the time, President Mahama, put out a formal statement on our behalf, our collective behalf, celebrating the Honorable Shelley Ayakuboche on her electoral victory as Commonwealth Secretary General. So I have nothing against the former minister, and we'll work together within the Commonwealth.
Thank you very much.
Very well.
Yes, I'm excited to know that there is a very good working relationship. I want to find out, flowing from that, if you want to be seen to be pushing for such very enviable positions. The Secretary General, I think I remember Honorable Anatetekura, and Honorable Ibn Chambers, and then now my venerable sister, Honorable Shelley Ayakuboche, and Kofi Annan. I want to see Honorable Okudzeto. Are you going to assure us that it is a path you are going to push?
Honorable member, the question is overruled. You have to determine whether you can do that or not, and it's not a matter that you should be disclosing to the whole world.
How?
Thank you very much.
How is that?
I will give the floor to Honorable Roxanne Nelson Dapamoko.
Chairman, Chairman, ma zamonu popo ma da pe gbogbo na Mio Dukwola John Dramani Mahama. Abi ale na otiamiefu. Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa be na foreign minister na Ghana dukonene. Mio tonto batoto evoduko votareji ni dapo gbogbo na. Tobi jekle pe o duko fi o tu bato o dapo gbogbo na. Ta wizo.
Mr. Chairman.
Babi areke mo la sinyo. Babi areke ko la sinyo nyabe.
Translate.
I will. Let me land. I'll translate it perfectly for you. Nyababia kunyabe na scholarship ya mecho tububu made ali lawe na wa camion of yosu. To wit. Congratulations. The entire voter region, the town citizens, especially the Bato citizens, they are very proud of you. And Togbe Jekle and his entire chieftaincy council, traditional council, they are proud of you. So you are welcome. Very simple question. How will you make easily available to Ghanaian young men who are desirous of studying, especially postgraduate programs in other countries, scholarships accessible to them? I thank you.
Yo anyaha madapa no. Majiba amashaba no nyaba ebeya bikata miawe na waja amashaba nu na miava duplola His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Ghana tokata wako jijo ba abia mewe ye mewe ta akpanao. To wit, thanking my brother and assuring the President and the nation that we will work together, we work hard to make sure that we do not disappoint the country. Scholarships is a very, very important matter. There are many times I've attended diplomatic engagements and I am approached and told that, oh, we had this 200 scholarships, we had this 400 scholarships. You people are not coming up. The window is closing. What is happening? So I think that moving forward, we need to really pay attention to these bilateral scholarships that many countries provide. And I recall as Deputy Minister in charge of tertiary education, I negotiated the Hungarian bilateral scholarship, which every year 100 Ghanaians are accepted in Hungary for postgraduate studies. That is a sure way of reducing the burden on Get Fund, on Scholarship Secretariat, GMPC and others who are struggling with a narrow fiscal space to sponsor scholarships. If we really revamp our bilateral scholarships and we make it available, practically what I want us to do is to have a dedicated website where all of these scholarships will be published. The criteria will be provided, and we are actually going to have dedicated officers who will assist our citizens to access these scholarships. There are too many of these bilateral scholarships that people don't know about, and by the time they even get to know, the deadline is over. You know, I know that countries like the UK, the US, China, Japan, South Korea, many of these countries, we have bilateral agreements with them. They have scholarships that often we are not able to take full advantage of. So it's a matter that is going to receive urgent attention. We'll demystify it, have a dedicated website for all of these bilateral scholarships, have dedicated officers who will facilitate the process. And the other innovation that you should also expect is that I want us to look at the passport fee regime again, so that we will create some dispensation which will omit some categories of Ghanaians, particularly brilliant but needy students from paying passport fees. It should be possible to have them subsidized so that the frequent travelers in the business category, entrepreneurs, the rich applicants, they can pay a little more for expedited service to subsidize the vulnerable, poor visa applicants. I don't understand why that cannot be part of the package that you receive as a student when you are going on scholarship abroad, because you are classified as brilliant but needy. So why should you be struggling to pay passport fees? I think we can take a second look at the fee structure and exempt our needy students. So these are some of the interventions we will be doing in the area of scholarships.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Yes, Chairman. You and Southern, we have very close relationship. So on behalf of my people in Southern, especially in Tongo, Germany, they send their gratitude and they wish you all the best. Germany, talk Akbar.
Thank you very much. Thank you for taking good care of them.
I then proceed to recognize the deputy minority leader and the deputy ranking member of the committee, Honorable Patricia Apiaje.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I seek to yield to the former Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs in the person of Honorable Mavis Nkasa Brodo. Thank you.
Honorable Mavis Nkasa Brodo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And let me join the other colleagues on congratulating the Honorable Member. Honorable nominee, let me take you back to the appointment of Lieutenant Colonel Devlolate as a special envoy to the Alliance of Sahel States. I want to find out, as the individual earmarked for this ministry, did the President confer with you before making such an appointment?
Very important question, and thank you, Honorable former Deputy Minister, for your question. If you look at the sequencing or the timing, at the time His Excellency the President made the appointment, I had not been named as Foreign Minister. We were all wondering what will happen. I know the President kept his cards close to his chest. We didn't know which ministry we would be serving in, or if we would even be considered for appointments at all. So it was very early, and I wasn't a Foreign Minister designate, so I couldn't have been consulted.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. So that brings me to my question.
Well, then the one you asked, what is it?
Oh no, I was just...
Please, treat that as your question number 1. Proceed to question number 2.
That will be a follow-up, Honorable Chair. Thank you very much. So then I want to find
follow-up flowing from the answer.
Yes, please.
That at that time,
yes,
he was not...
In regards to his appointment as the special envoy to the Sahel states. Yes, so then, Honorable Nominee, I want to find out from you, can you take us through the step-to-step mission of this special envoy, considering the fact that all these 3 states are headed by military leaders, and the intervention by ECOWAS, their exit from ECOWAS, and our continuous membership with ECOWAS? Thank you.
If I heard you accurately, is it about his mandate? His mandate. Okay, thank you very much. First of all, Lieutenant Colonel Devlolate is a good uncle of mine, and so if you are probably concerned about working relations, I can assure you that we have such a fantastic working relationship. The camaraderie is absolutely phenomenal. When he was National Security Coordinator, I was Deputy Minister for Information, and we worked together. So we have had a long-standing, very cordial and warm working relations. And I can proudly say he's one of the people that I look up to and I admire greatly. In terms of his mandate, as the statement issued by the presidency indicated, he is to help in restoring diplomatic relations, in helping with the efforts by ECOWAS and all of us member countries to bring them back into the fold. And then also to look at the security implications of their breakaway. Remember that Bevola is a security expert, former AU envoy on counterterrorism, and so he brings a lot of expertise to bear to help us, because everybody, all the experts are saying that the terrorism is coming down south from the Sahel, and if we don't act fast to stem the tide, we will be consumed in no time. And that's why under President Akufo-Addo, you initiated the Accra Initiative, to deal with the threat of violent extremism from particularly the Sahel. So his mandate is to open dialogue. I mean, diplomacy dialogue is key, is really fundamental, and to help in bringing them back to the fold, whilst at the same time addressing the security challenges that the Sahel is posing to us as a country. So that's his mandate.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This will be my second question. Honorable nominee, let me start by saying that there's no malice intended with this question. I just want you, I'm sure a lot of Ghanaians would want to know. So then, some Ghanaians, the population have described you as someone who's a populist. Some have also said that you're a propagandist. Others have said that you are quick to come out with information without verifying. I want to find out if the international community is supposed to go by this narration of you. What would you do, or what would you say today to put them at ease? Thank you.
Thank you very much for this question. If these are qualities that saves a country billions and billions of dollars, then we should encourage more of these qualities. And I'm sure the international community will be happy to know that there is a potential foreign minister from Ghana who is committed to meeting UN goals, AU goals, the goals of the international community in combating, corruption, waste, state capture, and that integrity, is a quality that we all should really encourage and aspire to. And I can also place on record that in all of the work that we have been doing, we have not injured anybody's reputation. We verify, we make sure we validate. And you know me, that if I have not intercepted the right documents, done the right analysis, I don't put out what is, just imaginary or conjecture. I make sure that it is credible and unimpeachable. So please be rest assured that our foreign policy and the foreign ministry will be well regarded by His Excellency John Dramani Mahame's appointment.
Thank you, Honorable Nominee. So in a nutshell, what you are seeking to tell Ghanaians is that you are taking off a new leaf?
Honorable member, he's answered the question that if that description will fit into his international relations, then it's good for all of us. So it doesn't suggest that he's taking a new leaf.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You couldn't have put it better.
Okay, so then it's the old Okudzeto Ablakwa that we know. All right, so Honorable Chair, that will take me to my last question, which will be to find out from the Honorable Nominee. So then in the past, your predecessor, Honorable Shirley Ayoku Botchwey, has showcased made in Ghana goods and services and products. I want to find out, and she has done that through diverse ways, and one way is through the bazaar. I'm sure you're very much aware of it as a ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. I want to find out if it's something that you plan on continuing. Thank you.
I can assure you, Honorable Nominee, Honorable MP, pardon me, that this is an area that will be pursued. Cultural diplomacy is really important. Kwame Nkrumah talked about the African personality, that we must be proud of who we are and showcase that to the world. And Ghanaian culture is always talked about in the international arena. When people come to terms with our culture, they are always enamored, always out, and it really projects us positively. So please be rest assured that all of those initiatives and more will be pursued, working in close collaboration with the Ministry of Creative Arts, Culture and Tourism. And I'm glad that Mamaga Jifagomashi herself is here to offer full support. And we have great working relations. We work together to promote cultural diplomacy.
Thank you very much. I will proceed to give the floor to Honorable Kweku Rickett Hagan. You have a follow-up question on whether or not you pursue hold to the predecessor. Well, then that is a different question you want to ask. Well, go up with your follow-up. And if it is not a follow-up, you know the consequences.
So the Honorable, thank you very much for your answer. I wanted to find out, since we are talking about exports and our local producers, I want to find out, leveraging on our trade blocks, I want to find out how you promote these exports and also in turn bring in foreign exchange. Thank you.
Two pillars will be utilized for this. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, I think that we really have to leverage that. And then President Mahama's 24-hour economy policy, you know, he's appointed the Venerable Guzi Kano to coordinate the 24-hour economy vision of the president. And this is aimed at industrialization. And to industrialize, you must add value to what you produce. And so the 24-hour economy and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, remember that President Mahama has said that he will chair the Africa Continental Free Trade Area objectives himself. And so this will be the two pillars which are used to promote our trade and how we add value and diversify our economy.
Thank you. So, Honorable Rice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, my brother, congratulations. I'm so happy that you are going to be doing this work. I got people call me because your work on anti-corruption has earned the admiration of a lot of people, of us, including His Excellency the President. And we believe that it's as a result of that this whole aura was created, and you were the one in charge of it. Leader, we don't ask questions like that. And people are beginning to wonder, when you got your new portfolio, that you have become the face of aura, and you are going to move on to foreign affairs. But I think you have said something today that I believe people who are listening to you, that the fight for anti-corruption actually has a lot of tentacles, and that there's actually a foreign angle to it. So you are now going to be pressed. Aura is now more or less gone global. You are going to be placed at a position where you will be able to explore the foreign angle of it in terms of properties outside people have purchased with ill-gotten wealth, in terms of malice stashed away elsewhere. All these things are going to come, you know, and I think that Aura will actually be stronger for the position that you have. You've done a lot of work that I think you should be celebrated. I remember our fight on the sale of slits. asset. The National Cathedral is one of them. Air travels of the executive, and actually purchase. All right, just forget about the distraction. And the purchase of actually properties, for foreign missions outside that obviously did not go the way it should. And I think that we should take this opportunity to actually thank you and celebrate you for the good work that you have done for this country in not only protecting the national purse, but in your case, you're actually saving the national purse. And you must be commended for that. Actually, my sons admire you, and they send their congratulations. Now, the first view I want from you is to do with our foreign mission properties outside, and which has a fiscal implication on our budget. Under President Mahama I, a work was done in basically doing an inventory of all our foreign properties outside, the ones we own outright and the ones we lend or lease. And I think these things will be at the ministry when you get there to see what was done. And that we have a lot of money or properties that we have bought that are very expensive. These things started on Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah when we gained independence, where our foreign mission properties were actually bought in prime areas. And these properties actually cost millions of dollars. Now, over the years, some countries' activities we do there are not as busy as we do elsewhere. So the question is whether some of our properties elsewhere should actually be sold to buy properties, permanent properties, where we are actually very active. And to be able to save money, because we have a lot of litigations out there where we have properties. Mr. Speaker, as leaders are giving time to, as this is a very important one, because there's a lot of money that is being spent out there that comes from our budget. I mean, on recurrent expenditure, we spend about $1 billion a year across 71 or so foreign missions. So some properties we rent, and actually we have properties, because I was part of that work that was done on President Mahama I. Some properties that we have, again, in countries and in prime places that we no longer have an embassy, and the properties are still there being used by other people, and in some cases we pay property taxes for those properties. And some properties we rent in some countries, we should actually be buying those properties because the rent we pay there are quite expensive. So I want to ask you, and I know this is there that you will go and find, what is your view on that in terms of making sure that we streamline our portfolio across the world and make sure that the properties we have are used efficiently and in places where we have more activities? So because you have accommodation for people and all that in embassies, some embassies we send so many people there and they need to be accommodated, to make sure that we have adequate accommodation for our people on a mission outside. So I want to take your view on that before I continue. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Majority Leader, for your very profuse words of praise and encouragement. I'm really encouraged. In recent times, it's as though those of us rather who want to protect the public purse, we are becoming public enemies. People want to come after us, and they've left the looters, to enjoy their loot. So I really want to thank you. This is really not common in our country these days. On the substantive question of inventory and our assets abroad, I am glad that you are part of the team that did that work, and I will be happy to ask for the report and to study it. As ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the 8th and 7th Parliament, I recall every budget cycle raising on the floor that if you paid regard to how much we were spending on rent, if we had purchased properties, it would have saved the taxpayer. We will have, in terms of the economics, it makes more sense to own rather than be renting. So on the other suggestion of selling the assets, you know my position on state assets. I'm currently promoting a protection of state assets bill. I've brought it back to the 9th Parliament, and there are a number of colleagues on both sides supporting me in that quest. And so I certainly cannot be seen, selling any diplomatic property. I can make a pledge here that under my watch, no diplomatic property will be sold. They will rather be protected. And I think that if you look at the analysis, we need more. There are too many foreign service officials who are renting and are being harassed by landlords across the world, and we have to look at that. You make a genuine observation about countries where we no longer have diplomatic presence, but we have purchased items. The history is that this occurred during the economic crunch in the 1980s, when the Dr. Badasamwa era under President Rawlings, they did a realignment and to cut down on our expenditure on our missions abroad. But even though we do not have diplomatic presence, we can fashion out a way where those assets are not just allowed to rot. They can be put in good shape and rented, and then it raises money, good IGF for the ministry. So it's just about being innovative. So I would rather that we should, because you see, today you don't have diplomatic presence, but tomorrow, the need will arise. The exigencies of the time will ask you to rethink and re-establish diplomatic ties. So I would say let's keep all our assets. We don't have enough. We need to even build on what we have inherited. But certainly we'll look at the report and then see how we acquire more assets and then reduce the annual expenditure on rentals. It's really killing this country, and it's something we have to deal with. In conclusion, I must also point out that we have observed that there are some of the assets that we have even lost. If you go to the UK, for example, poor record keeping has led to some of our diplomatic assets being lost over the years, and it's one area that I want to pursue strongly to recover what has been lost, even if we have to wage a strong legal battle to take it back from the encroachers. We need to do that. And as I said earlier, as for selling of these assets, please be rest assured that it's not something I believe in.
Let me follow up on this, and I think I do agree with you, though selling is an option, but I know your position on that. Perhaps what we can do, as it's been done in other places, is to rent the property at the prime place to get something somewhere else in the same country that is cheaper, so that the rent we earn from there can be used to pay for that property and actually get a balance out of that and save money. Now, my next question, as part of the follow-up, is actually to do with our trade attachés. You have defense attaché, trade attaché, and all the others. Now, what happens is that these officials come from their various ministries, like defense, like trade, and they are posted to London, US, and other places to help the mission over there to either promote trade or, in the defense, the least say about it, the better, about what they go there and do. We know they do very important work there, but because of the sensitive nature of it, I wouldn't, Now, what happens to them? Because they draw the foreign affairs or the mission draws their salaries, goods, and services from your ministry through the national budget. And these attachés also draw theirs from their various ministries. Now, when they get to London or US, they come under your mission over there. And then many of times they are not looked after properly in terms of looking for a place to stay and all that, or they don't even have adequate budget like you make provision for all that. So I think in the future going forward, we should look at how we can work together to make sure that the people we sent out there, if they don't belong to your mission and they are coming from elsewhere, they are able to fuse them together to make sure that they have adequate resources to do the very important work that will support you as being the ambassador out there to bring investment and trade and all that home. This you can take as an advice. The third one, and that will be my final one, is to do with, as you mentioned, and His Excellency the President. I'm very glad he had made that he's going to take the African continental trade under, his own leadership. The headquarters of the African continental trade sit here. We have done agreements, various agreements that we've signed around the world, but we don't actually prepare, especially in terms of the diplomacy side of things. So we go and sign all these agreements that in the end doesn't benefit us, but it benefits the people we've signed the agreement with. AGOA is one example. African Continental Free Trade, as we have signed and ratified it, some countries took their time in ratifying it for the simple reason that they were building themselves up to be able to take advantage. But we have been slow at it because the diplomacy has also been slow. The trade side is there, but the diplomacy should lead everything else. We have some African countries around us, especially our neighbors, who have moved from democracy to military rule after their ratification. Some have recently left ECOWAS, which means that relationship with them needs to be re-energized, and that requires some foreign diplomacy, and that is by yourself when you get the nod, not if. So I want to know from you how you are going to make us a leader through trade diplomacy on the African continent, through the Pan-Africanism that we talk about and the development of Africa. We do about 2 or 3% of trade among ourselves. We have now created a single market, and that single market requires diplomacy to nurture it before the trade actually comes in. So I want to know your view on that, in how you promote the trade diplomacy to be able to feed into this, so we can actually take advantage of having the headquarters of the African Continental Free Trade here and lead it to make sure that we build trade. And the problems we have in this country, debt is swallowing us, Ghana is almost broke and all that. These are some of the things that we need to do, including all the other things that we plan to do in 24-hour economy and all that, for us to be able to grow our economy again. But I should end by again congratulating you. God bless you. I know you do a fantastic job, and I know that the international tentacles of ORA will still keep you on the ORA job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ricketts Hagan, and state that I've been really impressed with your lecture. It was not a question, it was a lecture. And I'll make a special appeal to His Excellency the President that when we are putting together the Ministerial Advisory Board, if you wouldn't mind serving on the board. I would like you to be close to me so that you can be giving me good advice, because I'm really impressed. Yeah. So, but I agree with you, Honorable Okudzeto, that trade diplomacy must really be at the center of our foreign relations as a country. If you look at how we are struggling currently economically, then if you consider other factors, the ILO, for example, and the IOM have all confirmed that in 2023 we saw the highest rate of deaths on the Mediterranean. Young Africans who crossing over to Europe are dying, about 150,000. And those numbers are, according to the experts, even conservative estimates, because there are many who die and they are not even detected. You know, so we really have to prioritize trade diplomacy. And that's why in the NDC manifesto, we have said that we will make that a priority. There are many of our missions without trade attaches. We have said that we will send them and occupy those positions. But most importantly, we will also retrain them, build capacity. And then earlier I talked about KPIs. They will also be given clear targets. So you are not just posted, you know, and we don't know what you are bringing back home, what we are getting from you. Many people have not averted their mind to the inward-looking policies that we are witnessing now on the global arena. If you take, for example, the recent Donald Trump executive orders, if you begin to quantify the impact on our continent, the last time I was engaging officials of the WHO, they say that it will affect Africa even in terms of our vaccine programs, in terms of even the Global Fund, which has been a major player so far as our health priorities are concerned. The analysis show that the WHO will lose about $450 to $500 million every year. If every month, I think I was told, if this executive order remains in force. So what that means is that we can no longer continue to be relying on handouts and aid from other countries. We must really take our destinies into our own hands and forge a path that is self-reliant, that will really lift our people out of poverty. And that is where this trade diplomacy comes in. And the literature is clear that over the decades, aid hasn't worked. What we really must promote is trade. Trade, not aid. So these trade attaches will now take a very serious look at it, build capacity, make sure that there are clear KPIs, and within the larger ambit of economic diplomacy, where in our manifesto we talk about formulating a blueprint for the first time in our country's history. We will do all of that with clear targets so that trade diplomacy will work for our people, will help to improve the living conditions of our people and create jobs for our people.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Minority Leader.
Honorable nominee, you took the leave of chair to make some preliminary observation, largely on my press conference, and referred to how you felt about it and how your wife felt about it. I think Chairman largely addressed the issue in another way, which was acceptable to me, because we're only having our own challenges that we couldn't have communicated. But I think the effect of my political statement was to the effect that our side had no proper understanding of yesterday's arrangement. However, let me unconditionally apologize to your wife for how my press statement conference came about. I mean, how she felt about it. I mean, I'll feel bad if somebody said something about my own wife, and it's fair. All right, these are no ego matters. So I'm sorry to your dear wife, and how my press conference was carried, how you felt. I also say sorry to you. I would have utmost respect for you. I will be the last person to run you down. Okay? So I'm sorry. And I'm sorry to your wife one more time. Is that okay?
Yeah, very okay, and we are grateful. Thank you very much.
Very well. That's settled. You have expressed concern about the state of the public purse, the state of the economy, and the need for us as public officers to be mindful of costs. Can you, without prejudice, assure the nation that true to those values you hold dear, you will consistently fly economy, make it a policy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to fly economy and nothing more?
In my private capacity, when I'm traveling, I fly business. And so if it is a policy of President Mohammed's government that ministers should now travel economy because of the state of the economy, I am happy to do that. And if I can top up with my own resources, as I have been doing already in my private travels, I do travel business, not first class, business. I'm happy to do that. But as I said earlier, in this discussion, we must be more nuanced about it. I believe we can even achieve more savings with the size of delegations, with frequency of travels, with even the kind of airlines, that we use.
Honorable nominee, you know, in the past, there's so perception that leader keeps nominees for a long time. I would try to be very specific. So limit yourself as well, so that you don't create more room for follow-ups, which would make your guests uncomfortable and your party members may think I have some personal agenda. So please pay attention and let's have a good conversation. So just to rephrase it, would you want to take a personal decision to fly economy, even if government policy is for you to fly business?
I don't see what that achieves. It's totally unnecessary. I would save costs on travels using other mechanisms. I'll watch the size of delegation. I'll make sure that the kind of airlines would always go for what is competitive, and even per diems and all of those, the kind of hotels and all. There are many ways that we can save money, and those are the matters I will pursue, and we will save even more money for the country. I really don't see where this economy discussion is going to.
Please, your question, please. Any other question?
You have become aware that the President of the Republic, our President, recently traveled to the Gambia and the Republic of Senegal by using his brother's private jets. You become aware of that, correct?
Yes.
You are aware that as public servants, we are measured by certain standards, which standards you have a strong view on. Do you think that although there is no direct cost on the state, it is inappropriate for the President of the Republic to be flying on official duties with his brother's private jet?
I have long advocated for the need for Ghana to have a presidential travel policy. And I've said that even in cabinet is a matter that I will pursue. And so the ideal situation, if we have a presidential travel policy, in some countries they've even, passed them, enacted them into law, where there are clear guidelines and the do's and don'ts. But now, it doesn't exist, and any day, the good people of Ghana will go for a free, brother trip, as compared to a 20,000 euros an hour chartered jet, where the Ghanaian taxpayer suffers.
So you agree with me that though the state did not pay for the president's travel by use of his brother's private jet, it costs his brother money to fund the trip of his brother to Senegal and the Gambia? You agree with me?
Air travel comes with costs, aviation fuel, landing rights, all kinds of fees you have to pay. So yes, it definitely comes at some cost.
In view of that, it is inappropriate for a brother to bear the cost of the president's travel. You would agree with me that it's inappropriate, given the circumstances.
If you can clarify your question, I don't see why you would say it's inappropriate.
I will clarify. Just
Honorable members, the question is whether it is inappropriate for a brother to sponsor a trip. Honorable members, as for a gift from a brother, you can hardly reject. So to ask the appropriateness or otherwise, I have a difficulty about the question myself.
Mr. Chairman, the nominee wanted me to provide clarity. I will provide the clarity to the question. So the foundation is, in your own words, it is not proper for a president to travel on a $20,000 an hour jet. We need a policy to guide presidential travels. But for the time being, there is no policy. According to you again, the president traveled to the Gambia. That is President John Dramani Mahama, our president, traveled to the Gambia and Senegal by using his brother's private jet, which travel came at a cost to his brother. You've given a breakdown: aviation fuel, the cost of landing, all those associated costs, including meals that are served on the aircraft, salary allowances of the pilots, the air hostess, all those who are hosted, not only the president, all those officials in the aircraft. His brother bore that cost on the president's behalf. Me, I have a patience to tolerate. You don't. You don't. You can't accommodate me, but I can. Don't you think that the actions of Mr. President in the circumstance as available to us was inappropriate?
I do not think so.
Respected colleague, you have told this committee that you used your car loan to buy a combined harvester for the farmers in your constituency. First, I want you to be specific to guide us. You had a car loan in 2013, 2017, and 2020. Please share with us which of them you used in buying the combined harvester. Is it the 2013 one, or 2017 one, or 2021? Because each parliament, an MP is giving a car loan. So I want to know from you which of them you used to buy a combined harvester for your farmers.
I was making specific reference to the 2021.
In fact, the question was specific reference to 2021.
So, may I know from you, the 2021, you see, normally the procedure is this: you will give the name of the automobile company that you intend to buy from. You provide the name to Parliament, and then Parliament will issue the check directly to the automobile company, because the check is not issued in your name. Now, let me ask you, the letter you wrote to Parliament in respect of you drawing this amount for your car loan, how did you draft the letter, and what was the content?
This procedure you talk about is a procedure not known to me. I am aware that there are a good number of MPs, majority on your side actually, who have used their car loans for other matters. You are aware of the reports under former Speaker Okwe, those who use it to pay their children's school fees, children abroad and all of that. And I don't know how they then drafted their letters to automobile companies when they used those monies for school. So some have used theirs to pay their children's school fees. I use mine to buy a combined harvester for my farmers. I don't really see, and my farmers, my rice farmers are really grateful. So I really don't know about this procedure you're talking about.
Honorable member, and I'm happy that we're having this exercise, and I just want Chairman to pay attention to this. Honorable member, I am being very specific to you. If you say I am aware, at this point I am not on oath. If you say I'm aware some people used their monies for children's school fees and other things on my side, you see, then we'll be getting into a certain arena. People may not appreciate when I want to now delve into it, provide evidence of those people, then they also come and defend themselves. So I would plead with you.
be happy to provide. I have the list.
Okay, that's fine.
I can provide.
That's all right. Then I'll be happy to know. I'll be happy for you to provide. But for the time being, let's deal with you. And then if it pleases you that because you are not the only guilty person and that there are other accomplices, that's fine. Because you are saying that people use it to pay their children's school fees. You use yours to pay for buy a harvester. So blah blah blah. So I am dealing with your situation. I am dealing with your situation. I don't know of others. So I want to know how you procured the combine harvester in Parliament.
Honorable Minority Leader, I will again plead with you. I have a cause to even make an appearance for some members of Parliament before the office of the Special Prosecutor. So if we can veer from this and make progress, it will be in the interest of the entire Parliament of the Republic of Ghana.
Chairman, with respect, I would be very, very firm and I will not allow any attempt for a scene to be created. I'm very guided. I'll respect you. I know what I am doing. I'll be very respectful. Please allow a process to go on. Honorable nominee answered. I'm not bringing this up. He said that in 2021, he used his car loan to purchase a combine harvester. I'm not vetting any other person apart from him. And I'm limiting myself to him, and I'll show him utmost respect as our chief diplomat. Honorable nominee, this combine harvester that you purchased for your people with your car loan, the fact is that the monies are lodged with Parliament. You will need a correspondence to access that money. Please share with us the process you undertook to access that money.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to provide that. You do know that in our offices, our RAs are responsible for all of these administrative enterprises. So, Mr. Chairman, if you will allow me, I'm on oath. I do not want to make statements because I don't have those documents here. But I'm able to retrieve them from the office and submit them later, if Mr. Chairman, you will permit.
Honorable nominee, let us all tread cautiously. Be brief in your answers.
Honorable,
but Mr. Chairman, I'm seeking your ruling. Am I allowed to submit that later? Because I don't have those letters here.
No, I don't mind.
Yeah.
To make it available to us
because
later.
I didn't drop those letters.
That's all right. So, Chairman, can you talk to your people? It would make the thing mad. Can they be quiet? You. Honorable nominee, whilst we give you time to furnish us with the letters that you wrote to Clerk of Parliament, did you in the letter state, to the best of your memory, did you state to the clerk that your money, instead of using it to buy a car, which was why the state granted you that amount, instead of using it to buy, you were going to use it to buy a combine harvester?
I've been very open and transparent about my dealings, and I do not want to engage in guesswork. I have said that I will submit all the necessary documents on this particular transaction. So I will not engage in any guesswork. But I volunteered this information. I've talked about it time without number. Everybody in my constituency knows I have nothing to hide about this matter. So I'll submit the documents to you. But for now, I will not engage in any guesswork because I don't have the documents here.
2013, your car loan, did you access it?
I must have done that.
Can you share with us how you access that?
Again, I'll have to retrieve those documents for you.
Chairman, with your leave, I would stay questions on that to enable our respected colleague to bring documents in respect of how we access his 2013 car loan. Meanwhile, in 2013, you were a Deputy Minister of Education, correct?
Yes, I was.
In your work, you had access to an official saloon car and an official four-wheel drive as a Deputy Education Minister, correct?
Yeah, correct.
At the same time, you had a four-wheel drive purchased for you by Parliament, correct?
That's a car loan, so I don't know how you are defining that. It is deducted from our salary, so I think that it has to be, the context has to be,
Yes, Honorable, don't worry. I would be fair as much as possible. Car loan, that's why I use the word car loan. So the ordinary meaning of a loan is that you will pay back. And we know that the car loans that we access, they deduct from our salary within the 4 years. So I will get to that point. Now, when you served 2013 to 2017 as Deputy Minister of Education, on record, you've told the Ghanaian public that you had access to an official four-wheel drive, had access to a saloon vehicle, and then on top of it, another four-wheel drive, which was a car loan from Parliament. Now, when you left office, the saloon car that you used, did you get the opportunity to purchase it?
I didn't put in an application to purchase it. That was available as an option, but I didn't avail myself for it. So I left it behind.
Same with the four-wheel drive you used at the ministry?
Yes, four-wheel drives are not covered under this policy.
Emphasis.
So for emphasis, all my official cars were left behind. I didn't apply to buy any of them.
So as at 2017, the only vehicle available to you was your four-wheel drive that Parliament bought for you, which there was deduction, correct?
Honorable Minority Leader, the nominee keep on saying it is a car loan, and you are using the word Parliament bought for you. Let's not create a different impression in public. So let's restrict ourselves to a car loan before the impression is created in public as if Parliament buys the car for us.
Let's come to 2017. Again, you won election and you came to Parliament. 2017, again, the state made available a car loan to you. Did you access that car loan for your second term in Parliament?
Yes, I did.
Did you buy a four-wheel drive with it or some other cars?
I stayed within the quantum available. So because I had the Land Cruiser for the previous term, this time I purchased 2 saloon vehicles, but I stayed within the parameters. I didn't exceed. Yeah. Because you know that some
Yes.
people do pickups and all of that. Yeah, so.
Honorable member.
Yeah, for clarity.
Yes, with respect to you, please help me by limiting it to only yourself. Because when you say other people, that's where chairman doesn't want me to go there, so that we don't introduce whistleblowers and other people's rights. So it's you now for the time being. Is that okay?
No, it cannot be okay. It's important to put things in proper context. People must know that there are these options available to all of us. People are taking different decisions. Some are doing a pickup or two pickups, or a pickup and a Land Cruiser or a salon car and all of that. So it's important to put things in proper context so that the wrong impression is not created.
So for 2017, you used your car loan to buy 2 salon vehicles. You've just told us that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which salon vehicles are you referring to?
A salon vehicle is a salon vehicle. I can provide the details and my car number, but I don't want to do that publicly. So I can provide that.
So are you able to provide us with the letters you wrote to Parliament? Which letters you use in accessing those funds to the automobile company where you bought them? You'll be able to provide us?
My RA keeps very good records, and I'm sure all of that. If chairman,
let me straighten the record.
Yeah.
That we've all been beneficiaries of the car loan. Sometimes the automobile company will bring a list or will have a paper, and all those who want to procure the vehicle from that automobile company would indicate their names. So it is not necessarily you writing a letter to that effect. We've all used the procedure. You see, and this is including leadership.
Yeah, so Chairman, if you, I'm willing to follow your direction, Chairman, but I'm happy to provide all of these documents. My RA is a good record keeper.
Honorable nominee, do you know Rukayatu Al-Hassan, a chartered accountant who works with the Controller and Accountant General's Department?
No, the name doesn't ring a bell.
Honorable member, do you know of Louisa Osei, who works at the Department of Public Invested Lands Management Division at the Lands Commission?
No, I don't think I know them.
You'll be surprised if these individuals say they have a close relationship with you.
I'll be very surprised.
Now let's come to Ora, and you indicated, I'm bringing you there because on your CV, sometimes people may not appreciate why we're asking certain questions. If you come to page 1 of your own CV, you stated profile, Member of Parliament for Norton, 4th term. Then you come to summary. Under it, you have chairman, Operation Recover All Loot. So it's on the basis of what you have put on your CV that I'm mounting my questions. So now, share with us. I know it was publicly announced that the respected Domlevo is a member of your committee. The respected Kofi Boachi is a member, and then Mr. Martin Kpebu, a respected lawyer. Sometimes people may have their own disagreement with him, but he's also playing his role in our democracy, and I respect him for what he's doing for his country. We can't always agree. Now, tell us, in very clear terms, what the mandate of this oral has been.
Our mandate is exactly what Article 41F of the 1992 Constitution speaks of. And Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'll read Article 41F. Article 41F provides,
Please do.
The exercise and enjoyment of rights and freedoms is inseparable from the performance of duties and obligations. And accordingly, it shall be the duty of every citizen, F, to protect and preserve public property and expose and combat misuse and waste of public funds and property, unquote. So our mandate is to really be patriotic citizens. And I'm so proud that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama found me worthy to chair this eminent committee, which has the eminent patriots you have listed. Our mandate is simply to serve as a vehicle of information gathering. We've put out hotlines, we've put out emails, we have a website, and we are receiving information which we are compiling in a comprehensive document. We also carry out field visitations, because we don't want to be an armchair committee that just, puts together a report that we cannot verify, which we cannot validate, which is not credible. So we carry out field visits. We've been to a number of places across the country to be sure that the information that people are giving us are indeed accurate, so that we can present a credible, comprehensive report to His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. So that is what we have been doing, making sure that we prevent the looting, the misuse, the abuse of public property.
Now, you mentioned that earlier, that people have been coming to your secretariat with information. So where is the secretariat?
The secretariat, which is really a makeshift secretariat, and we have to express our gratitude using this platform to Her Excellency the Vice President, Professor Nana Jenopoku-Agyemang. We share her office with her. She generously, because she also believes, so passionately in oral, in protecting looting and protecting public assets. She very graciously allowed us to use her office for this work. So that's the secretariat we are using.
You mean her office at Jubilee House?
No, her private office.
Where is this office?
In Cantonment.
Cantonment, okay.
Yes.
Now, this her private office in Cantonment, is it an office that she, because cantonment lands are state lands. So now, this is a private office in Cantonment. Is it an office that she owns or she has rented? Is it something that you know?
Honorable member, the question is overruled. The essence is that she is not the owner. The place was made available. The person who made the place available has been mentioned. How would he, the user, be able to know whether the place is owned or it was rented?
Mr. Chair.
Well, Chair, I can Chair, if you don't mind, just make your work simple, because I have information.
I'm very mindful.
I have information.
My mind.
It's rented. She doesn't own it. It's rented. So, Chairman, if you don't mind, so that we don't even create any unfair impression in the minds of Ghanaians, because I work closely with her, and I know the
the person Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman is the tenant.
Yes.
She is a tenant.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because that place is a dollar-rated area. So, I mean, yes, cantonment properties, you pay dollars. We know that as a fact. So, I'm happy to hear that the Vice President is able to afford a dollar, rent in cantonment. It means that we can't. We being in public service doesn't mean that we should be poor. That's fine. Anyway,
well, Chairman, I'm also happy to observe that the Honourable Minority Leader is aware that cantonment lands are dollar rated. So when some of his colleagues are paying 42,000 cedis for a plot of land in cantonments, he must join my crusade against state capture. So I'm very happy. I'm happy you are introducing dollars into this discussion. Very, very happy about it.
My respected colleague, not to worry, would go there gradually. We'll go there gradually. Now, the land in cantonment, you are telling us that some people have been paying 42,000, whatever you call it. Have you been able to find out from the Lands Commission whether they have a standard pricing regime for lands that they sell to the public? Have you found out?
Honorable Minority Leader, if you can expatiate your question. Standard regime how?
So, to enable one to determine whether a land is being sold at a very low price or a high price, one must pay attention to valuation. So the entity in question, whether it has set its own pricing ceiling, so you pay grounds rent, the actual lease, so, and if so, per acre or per plot, how is that determined? I just want to know from you whether as part of your work you've been able to find out from the Lands Commission whether state lands that they sell, they have their own standard pricing for it.
What I've discovered in the course of my work is that it varies depending on the area. So cantonments varies, range varies. I'm even looking into your own acquisition in Winneba. I have the documents here. It also varies. So it varies all over. I have documents from Tamale as well, which vary. So I don't think there's a standard rate. It varies depending on the place.
Honorable nominee, because you have brought me in, I'm able to find out from you about my properties in Winneba that you know. I want you to share with the public.
This specific one is a lease between you and the government of Ghana on 22nd March 2023. The name Alexander Afenyo Markins for 99 years. This is in Winneba. Yeah, so official Lands Commission document. Yeah.
Honourable Member, do you say 99 years? Yes. Because I know as a fact that government land, the lease will not go beyond 50 years. By law.
If I can read verbatim, and this is signed by Justice A. Asanguna, Principal Lands Officer in Winneba, and the official search certificate indicates that the search applied for against the land edged red on the plan attached has been made with the following results. 1, the site is not a state land but vested by virtue of LI 206, dated 21st November 1961. 2. The site also is covered by a lease dated 22nd March 2023 between the government of Ghana on one part and Alexander Afenyo Markin on the other part for a term of 99 years. So that is what the search certificate states.
Honorable nominee, just by way of public information, because you provided the airline, now I'll give you a background to Winneba and Gomwa. Winneba and Gomwa have had a long period of land disputes. It went all the way to the Gold Coast Supreme Court. So the entire Winneba land, Kwame Nkrumah, just to bring peace between the people of Winneba and the people of Gomwa, came up with this executive instrument. There are two instruments. So in Winneba, every land is vested. All the villages and the Gomwa enclave as well. So I'm happy that you read. The state. Yes. Oh, come on. But the person read, Roxanne, we are doing a serious exercise. I mean, if you guys want us to go the path of partisan politics, we would go there. No. I have been very gentle and respectful. Chairman, you need to talk to your people.
Let's have some order.
Because when we react, then they will take offense.
I beg you, let's have some order.
We have a lot of things to do. I've been calm, quiet, gentle, respectful. They've been doing, I've been keeping quiet. Please, I have patience, but not to a point that a man cannot tolerate. So, honorable nominee, I am happy that sitting there, you've gone digging me, and I'm happy that you brought it here, that Winneba, I want to provide information, Winneba and Gomwa enclave, the chiefs, their lands were all annexed, and they are vested lands. So I'm happy that you read it. And even when the Asafo companies, the Asafo own that area called Ponkwechi, that's Dentifo Asafo, and the Trafo also own the Komfade Kojobedu areas, and some chiefs own their lands. But because of the Kwame Nkrumah EI, even if you buy from the chief, and the chief gives you an indenture, you can't register at Lands Commission because of that EI. So everybody in Winneba would have to go and register through a lease with the state. So I'm happy you brought it up, and then I've just explained to you. Now let us go back to your oral work. You have indicated that you are seeking to recover state lands that have been wrongly appropriated. You call it loot. Now, are you looking at all state lands that were appropriated by individuals since 1992, or you are going way down to the 80s, 70s, or you are limiting yourself to recent years? Can you share some light on your mandate? Because you are seeking to recover, which is very patriotic.
Honourable member, I believe this will be in the mandate of
Yeah, so you should share with us.
Ora. The nominee before us is being vetted for a position of a foreign minister. So,
Chairman.
how relevant is the mandate of oral to
Chairman.
the position
Chairman.
that the nominee is being vetted for?
Chairman, don't start. I hold you.
We are ready. They can go ahead and call you.
Chairman, you have, the nominee himself spoke about ORA. The nominee himself stated in his CV, and I'm asking him questions about it. Then you say it is not relevant. Chairman, I'm pleading with you. I'm according you every respect. Let's have a smooth inquisition. Let's have a smooth inquisition. Honorable nominee, your work aimed at recovering state assets, lands that have been looted, etc. Which period are you looking at?
That is okay. His Excellency the President has made clear that looting is looting, and it doesn't matter when it occurred. Once information emerges that it was an unconscionable transaction, we should document it. Remember that I have said that our work is with phase 1, information gathering. When we have presented our report to the President, phase 2 will kick in. That's where the Attorney General will take control, and we'll be looking at the recoveries, the actual retrievals, and if there has to be even prosecutions. Because remember that Oral's work is not only about properties. We also have the financial aspect, the causing financial loss to the state. So it's a more broader concept than often it is made to look.
Now, let's leave Oral for a moment and come back to your CV. Page 1 of your CV, you provided your address, PO Box AD 45 at Ablakwa, Accra. Is the address owned by you? Is it your own postal address, or is a family postal address that you are using?
It's a family postal address.
And how long have you been using this family postal address?
About 10 years.
Now, you've also indicated you have 2 email addresses, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Then you have indicated home address, number 1, Wilshire Boulevard, Airport Hills. This property at Airport Hills, how long have you been living at Airport Hills?
About 8 years.
Is it your own property?
No, I am renting. I'm a tenant.
Airport Hills is dollar rented zone. Are you aware?
Honorable member, can we have a clarification of dollar rented? Because in Ghana we use CD, so I don't understand a dollar rented property. Does it mean you pay the rent in dollars?
Not necessarily.
I mean,
okay. Okay, honorable member. So your rent, do you pay it monthly or you pay it annually?
Well, it depends. And Chair, I don't know if you want me to share the tenancy agreement with you, even though I'll have to
don't proceed.
Seek the permission of my dear wife, because we do it
don't
together.
Proceed. It is not in the interest of the company to be demanding for your tenancy agreement, let alone determining how much you pay as rent.
Okay. Well, I mean,
that is personal.
I like to be transparent, so
but that is personal.
But I respect your ruling, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, you see, we are in this public enterprise together. This is a nominee who, desirous of protecting the public purse, holding people accountable, is able to inquire into how people earn their salaries, especially public officers, how people acquire properties and all. I think that it is only fair. For instance, in this inquisition, at least he came as prepared as possible with my own land that I have owned for over 25 years, which is good.
And that's not only what I have, by the way.
No, provide, honorable member, I am happy. I'm happy for you to share with the public all that you have on me. Read them aloud. No, please read them aloud. Honorable members, I want you, because you brought it up, I want you to share with the public all the properties that I have that you have uncovered, including my bank account. Share with the public. I'm happy for you to share. No, I want you to share because I want it to disclose. I am right here. No, I am right here. I am right here. I want you to disclose to the public all the properties that I own that you have.
Honorable Minority Leader, remember, I am the chair of the committee. If you ask a question that relates to that, fine. I can even overrule the question. So please, you are not allowed to mention the others unless the need arose. Proceed.
Honorable member, as part of your inquisition on me, did you discover some other properties that I own apart from what you have already mentioned? Which search result you shared? Are there others that you were able to uncover?
Is there inquisition in the first place, or you just gather information?
Don't worry, I will put it right if I should use gathered information.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I will disclose what I have at the right time. We are all following our strategy. You have a strategy, I have my strategy. So let's stick to our strategies.
Oh, good. So, honorable nominee, as part of the information you've gathered thus far, the ones that you have gathered about me, can you disclose them to the public apart from what you have discovered?
I cannot at this point.
Honorable nominee, this property at the Airport Hills that you say you rent, and you've been renting it for 8 years, do you pay in cedis or you pay in dollars? Your rent, your tenant rent, do you pay in cedis or you pay in dollars?
In cedis. We always pay the cedi equivalent.
Do you deduct withholding tax from your rent at source? Because every rent, there's a withholding tax element, and then you give the receipts to the landlord. Do you deduct at source and pay to GRA, or you just pay your rent and it doesn't matter how the landlord goes about it?
Honorable members, this is a legal question. It's in two ways. The landlord can choose to pay the rent, and the landlord can agree with the tenant for the tenant to also pay it, and it depends the duration.
So he's opening it up for clarity. So choose the part you would want to answer.
I am not allowing you to answer that question.
Chairman, please say so for the records. I didn't get that you have
question overruled.
That's okay, no problem. Honorable member, on your CV, you have indicated on page 2 page 2. Are you there with me? We have former managing director, Service Solutions. Now share with us when you registered this company.
This was in April 2018.
Are you the sole shareholder of this company, please?
Yes, I am, but it's defunct.
Honorable member, the fact that you are a managing director of a company does not suggest that you are even a shareholder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let alone being the sole shareholder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the question is overruled.
Are you a shareholder of the company?
The company is defunct, so I'm no longer working or operating this company.
Were you a shareholder of the company?
Sole shareholder.
From which year to which year did you operate this company?
It was just about a year. It was short-lived.
What was the nature of the business of the company?
So it was communications and PR firm, and because I was appointed Deputy Minister for Information, I saw that there will be potential conflict, and so I decided to wind down to avoid a conflict of interest situation.
Honorable member, you served as a Deputy Minister of Information between 2009 to 2013. A moment ago you said the company was registered in 2018. Please, can you bring clarity? Because you said 2018.
No, I meant 2008. Thanks for the 2008. So let the record be corrected. April 2008.
Please kindly take the leave of chair.
So, Mr. Chairman, with your leave. 2008, not 2018. Yeah, 2008.
Now, you do not own any other company, correct?
I'm a director in one company which is yet to take off. It's a farming arrangement that we are working on. I and a number of people, but it's just been registered, but we haven't fully taken off. We haven't fully started operations. And that's if Mr. Chairman, you want me to provide the name, that's Volta Clenam Farms. We're going to go into massive cassava production. We want to produce starch from cassava, but it's still in the gestation period. We haven't taken off yet. So we've just registered a company, and we're still holding talks with potential interest parties.
So if you say you've just registered the company, you mean you've registered it as a Registrar General's Department, correct?
Absolutely.
And you are the sole shareholder, correct?
No, I'm not. There are others. I don't think I have their permission to go public with the identity.
Okay, so you agree with me that to go public with information related to people, you necessarily will need their privacy, correct?
It depends on the context and the circumstances. Yeah,
yes,
depends.
that's. Can you?
Because these are private individuals. They are not public officials.
That's the point. So I just needed clarity. So you have drawn the distinction that if these individuals are in the public service, their consent and permission is not needed because it will be in the public interest, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
But if they are private individuals, putting out their names will require their consent and authorization, correct?
If they are not politically exposed, sometimes you can have politically exposed private individuals. So that's why I say it depends on the circumstances. I mean, in these matters, you have to look at all. You have to look at all the parameters.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that, so let me rely on your words. So you're saying that if these people are politically exposed, there is no such requirement for their consent before you put out their names, if I got you right?
I have stated that it depends on the circumstances. So case by case, you make a determination.
But you are aware that per the Companies Act and then the anti-money laundering law that we passed, we amended to Act 824 something. Yes, Act 824. These individuals that you jointly own shares with in this company are politically exposed by virtue of the association with you. You'd agree with me?
Honorable member, the question is overruled. This is purely a legal question, but the statement is not correct.
Now, you say you are going into cassava production in commercial quantities. You have acquired the land already?
It will be a cooperative, so we will not acquire the land. We've discussed an interesting concept where the community owns, say, the community will contribute land, the youth will be involved. It's part of next initiatives I want to introduce as a member of Parliament in Northtown, you know, so it's all geared towards job creation and, you know, promoting agriculture amongst the youth. So that's the kind of concept we are looking at, more of, you know, a communal approach where families who own land will, you know, bring it, young people volunteer, and then the proceeds will be shared amongst those who sign up for the cooperative program. So it's quite an interesting concept. That's what we are looking at. So we haven't bought any land at this point.
So, Honorable Foreign Minister Designate, in your constituency, do you own any property there? Like the way I own a property in my constituency, do you also own a property in your constituency?
Yes, I do.
With us, how long you've owned this property?
It's a property I use about 10 years to build. Simple 4-bedroom, 1 kitchen, no boys' quarters, no swimming pool, no tennis court. That's a simple structure. I've seen a lot of propaganda out there that I own a $3 million mansion in my constituency, largely fueled by propagandists in your party. But I don't own $3 million in Aveime. I mean, absolutely preposterous and ridiculous. I mean, those who attended my dad's funeral saw the property. Very simple property, built over a 10-year period. So if you want descriptions, that's what I can give you.
The land, how did you acquire the land? So, example, in my case, I buy it from the chiefs and the Asafo, but I still would have to go and pay again at the Lands Commission because their title, their document they give, you can't register because of vested land. Do you have a similar situation in your area?
No, mine family land. So, and because I'm member of Parliament, they were very, very generous. So it was largely a donation, just a little token to show appreciation. You know how people are very happy to reward people who are serving them diligently in the communities. So it was within that spirit.
So, like you're saying that it's a family land, but it was given to you. You are saying that the land upon which you built was a gift to you from a family because of your hard work as a member of Parliament?
That's not what I said. I said it belongs to a family. It's not a government land. It's owned by a family. And I'm saying that they didn't really let me pay a commercial value. I mean, I have to be grateful to them, and that's all I'm doing. So a little token, a little appreciation, really, but nothing significant.
So you have a lease to the land? You have a lease?
Not yet. Not yet.
So, as far as you are concerned, that simple property, as you've described it, in your constituency, is the only property you own, correct? Or you own some other properties?
Mr. Chairman, I think the Vice Chairman is engaging Mr. Chairman, so. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll need your guidance on that question on the properties I own. Because I've declared my assets, so if you want to get a copy of my asset declaration from the Auditor General. But
referring to the Assets Declaration Act, it is for a stated reason that you file it and the envelope is not even open. So in that vein, I would disallow the question.
Okay, Chairman, so let me get clarity. So on this table, what you are saying is that the nominee is not obliged to disclose the properties that he has. I mean, just so that I'm guided. If you're saying that a nominee getting into public service, who is a public spirited individual, who gathers information as to what people own in public life, how politicians live their lives, in this case, he's not obliged to disclose. I'm fine. That's okay.
Let's do what the law requires from us. The law requires that you file your asset declaration.
Man, I'm not talking about the law. I never went into asset declaration. I asked a very simple question. He said at the Airport Hills, based on the information here, he says that he's a tenant at Airport Hills. He's lived there as a tenant for 8 years. Then he himself disclosed that people have been making all manner of propaganda. He owns this, he owns that. However, in his constituency, just as I do, he has a simple house, and that simple house has 4-bedroom, no boys' quarters, no swimming pool. I have a swimming pool in Winneba. In fact, I have two. My beachfront and my White House. I have 2 big swimming pools. I have them. I have a boys' quarters, yes, and I have had them for years, which is different from you. Yeah. Well, the fact. So I want to know from you whether you have other properties.
His disclosure clearly is a voluntary disclosure, but what you are seeking to do is for him to disclose his assets publicly. The law says that you declare it, they keep the envelope, they don't even open it. As to whether that is right or not, that is apparently the law.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, I've placed on record that I'm happy for the committee to engage with the Auditor General to have a copy of my asset declaration, if you so wish. I mean, I'm not opposed to that, but I can state on the record that I have never purchased a government land, if that is what is of interest to the minority leader. I've never bought a government land, if that is, or a public land or a state land, if that is where he's headed.
Well, sorry for the interruption. That's an issue we have to deal with.
Now, Honorable Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I just want us to put this matter to a peaceful rest so that we are all clear. I understand that as a requirement of law and by law, we are to make an asset declaration sealed in an envelope deposited with the Auditor General. Are you therefore saying that in view of that law, nominees that appear before us are not obliged to make a disclosure of properties that they own? If so, I will respect it. I just want clarity as to your ruling.
Yes, by imperative of that law, you cannot publicly ask anybody to publicly disclose his assets. That is why the disclosure of the access in the wisdom of the framers of the law is confidential.
Honorable nominee, let us deal with this combine harvester that you used your car loan to acquire for your constituents. So the use of the combine harvester, do the farmers pay for the use of it?
So the Avayime rice farmers have a cooperative, and they make it's heavily subsidized. So they make a little contribution which they use to service the combined harvester, to buy fuel and all of that. So it's their internal arrangement for servicing and buying fuel.
So, honorable nominee, are they in the process paying back the facility?
No, they are not to pay back.
Are you getting information on WhatsApp? Somebody send me WhatsApp messages to us.
So, my respected colleague, let's go to April 8th. You publicly demanded on Twitter that former President Akufo-Addo should submit an annual presidential staffers report. And I'm quoting you. We demand the annual report now. unquote. However, official records show that this report had already been submitted by the presidency to Parliament on the March 25, 2024, and formally acknowledged by the Speaker's office on March 28, 2024, nearly 2 weeks before your demand. As someone who is being nominated as our chief diplomat, this office requires meticulous attention to facts and careful verification before making public statements. Can you explain, 1, what steps you took to verify your information before making your demand public? That's the first one.
The Clerk of Parliament, Mr. Jethro, will confirm to you that I called him to find out if the presidential staffers list had been submitted, and he responded that it had not been submitted. And you need to recall that consistently over the 8-year period is one of the items my caucus asked me to specialize in, and consistently I have had to. It's been really a difficult struggle to get the presidency to comply with that act, and you know that most often it is submitted after the March deadline. In April 2018, I thought that consistent with that track record, they had also missed the mark, and indeed I did verify from the clerk at table, Mr. Jethro, before I put out that tweet.
But you subsequently became aware that indeed the presidency had submitted the search information ahead of your publication, correct?
So I saw a tweet, an ex post by counsel to the president responding to my post that they had submitted it earlier. So I took steps to follow up from the Speaker's office, and I can't place on record that I have been pursuing that document since. Strangely, I haven't seen it despite my pursuit, and it's not been laid in the House, which is really strange. I don't know what happened to that document in transit, but we don't have copies. No MP has been given a copy, which I find really strange.
The fact is that the Speaker's office confirmed receipt of the said document way ahead of your publication.
I wouldn't know that. President, Speaker communicating, writing letters to each other directly, they don't copy MPs. So I wouldn't. I did my check, diligent check at the table office. Mr. Jethro told me it had not been submitted, and I then reminded the president that he has to comply. And if you check consistently, has not been complying with the law on this matter.
Well, for me, I believe that the recipient of said communication is the Speaker's office. And to be fair to the president and all presidents, not only Akufo-Addo, our current president, once the communication is delivered to the Speaker's office, I believe that it would only be fair that even if our initial diligence search could not reveal the delivery of such, once we become aware, it is only fair that we acknowledge same and take note. I think, in all fairness to President Akufo-Addo, he did not break the law. But if you don't want to acknowledge that fact, I won't press you on that. I will just move to my next question. But the fact is that at the time you put out your information, the document has already been ferried to the Speaker's office 2 weeks earlier, and you can always verify. Let me move to the next question. In March 2021, you resigned from the appointment committee, citing personal and principled reasons. You chose to act independently rather than to align with the collective decision process of your caucus. Now, as Minister of Foreign Affairs, that is when approved, you will be required to represent and defend Ghana's collective cabinet positions, even when they might differ from your personal views. Now, how do you reconcile your past actions with this fundamental requirement of cabinet collective responsibility, and what assures this committee that you would uphold this principle if confirmed as minister?
Well, thank you very much. I am a conviction politician. I have certain principles and certain standards, and the principle of collective cabinet responsibility, inherent in that principle, is that if there's a cabinet position you don't agree with, you resign. If you stay on, then you must defend that cabinet position. So if it's a matter I feel strongly about, I'm not one who finds it difficult to walk away, to preserve my convictions and my philosophies.
Thank you. Thank you. I refer you to a publication by graphic.com.gh on 12 September 2017, where former Attorney General, Mr. Martin Amidu, documented several instances where you allegedly engaged in confrontational exchanges with senior political figures, including your interactions with him on Isophoton case. Now, let's hear from you. Did you engage the former AG with a view to facilitating the payment due Isophoton at the time?
Well, thank you very much. At the time, I was Deputy Minister for Information, and I received a petition, came to the ministry, and I'm glad that former ministers of information are here. I see the Honorable Mahama Yariga. It is key to the mandate of the Ministry of Information to receive feedback and ferry that information to the relevant quarters. So in this case, there was a petition from the director of Isophoton, and all I did was to forward that. And if you, Mr. Chair, you give me the permission to read from the current Ministry of Information's website. I have a printout here, a statement introducing the ministry, signed by the former Minister for Information, the Honorable Fatima Abubakar. And she states here, and Ghanaians who are watching can log onto the website of the Ministry of Information, which is appears to be now defunct, by the way. The Honorable Fatima Abubakar writes, quote, "Our goal as a ministry is to empower the citizens of Ghana through information dissemination, to ensure transparency and accountability in public policy cycles. The mandate of the Ministry of Information is to facilitate the gathering of feedback for the executive branch of government," unquote. This is President Akufo-Addo's Minister for Information, and that's all I was doing in the Isophoton matter.
Okay, so if so, why then would he describe you, I mean, from what you are saying, public office holder, you received a petition, you have forwarded it to his office. First of all, let me understand you. Did you forward the petition requesting for payment through your ministry by a letter? Did you write to his office?
No, I was not requesting for payment. I was only serving as a conveyor belt. This has been brought to the Ministry of Information. We collect feedback for various government agencies. So please receive this. That was all. I didn't pass any judgment. I'm not the Attorney General. I mean, how dare you dictate to the Attorney General on what to do? So
now members, let's make progress.
So, if you only ferried the letter to him, why would he therefore describe you as uncouth and somebody who has been insulting elders? Because he stated so. I mean, if there was no verbal engagement but just a letter you wrote, how would he give you such a description?
well, first of all, I would like to see that publication because
It is graphic. You can find it on the 12th September 2017. It's still online, so you can peruse it. That's why I wanted clarity. That what was the mode of interaction, and you have said it was through a formal letter you sent to his office regarding the petition you received from Isofota, meaning you didn't phone him to talk to him. So if you didn't do so, how he gave you this description is why I want to know your view on it.
I mean, fortunately, I've been
Honorable member.
I've been in the public space.
Honorable member, hold it. The question is a bit nebulous. How somebody have a view about you, you may not have control over it. So the question is either rephrased or overruled.
Chairman, you reserve the sole right on admissibility. I will respect that always. Honorable nominee, I'm sure you become aware that the new president of the United States, through some executive orders, has been very tough on immigration and all. Obviously, without being hypothetical, there may be Ghanaians in the United States who don't have documents. How prepared are you for possible mass deportations, considering the situation we find ourselves? Share with us some strategies you intend to put in place to warmly see our compatriots safely back to Ghana.
This is a matter that is of concern to a lot of Ghanaians. And since my nomination, I have diligently inquired from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs what the status is. There have been publications that about 6,200 Ghanaians will be affected. But from the brief that has been shared with me from the officials at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they allay fears that the numbers are not that high, and that currently the official communication the ministry has received from Washington is 156, not 6,200, 156 Ghanaians who face imminent deportation. And indeed, they indicate that about 40 of them have been asked to be, they've asked the mission in Washington to process those people expeditedly to be deported. It's clear that President Trump is really serious about this is executive order. If you follow what happened to the Colombians when the Colombian president refused to accept Colombians who were being deported, we saw that immediately President Trump announced trade sanctions, and Colombia has had to retreat. So I think that the strategy that we should deploy as a country is to ensure that our missions abroad extend consular services to all of these persons. They are our compatriots. We must be concerned about their welfare. And if we have to give them legal assistance, that's why earlier I talked about the consular fund. We need to quickly populate that fund. And I'm happy that the distinguished Minister of Finance is here as we work on the 2025 budget. It is a line item I would really be appealing to his ministry to approve, so that we would have a consular fund for the first time, so that that fund will be available, legal support, consular assistance. At least let's do our best so that if they have a case to remain in those countries, they stay. And then if they have to be received by us, it is also done in a humane way that respects their rights. So we are not going to leave them there to struggle on their own. We will let them feel and know that the government of Ghana, the people of Ghana, care about their plight, and that we are doing our best to extend to them consular assistance.
Chairman, with your leave, I want to apply for a post-trade break, 5-minute post-trade break.
Leave humbly granted. Is the house idea? This is the second one.
No,
You have
we had a small break. Chairman.
Order. Let's make progress. Honorable Minority Leader, you have the floor.
Honorable nominee. Please, do you have a Ghana card?
Yes, I do.
At what point did you acquire a Ghana card? Can you tell us the dates you first acquired a Ghana card?
I'll need to refer. I don't have it here. I'm on oath, so I have to be accurate.
Do you remember publicly condemning the policy of the Ghana card?
Which aspect of the policy? Can you please?
Introduction of the Ghana card.
I don't recall. I don't recall.
You don't recall? Okay. That's remember the Ghana card that you have acquired. Do you find it useful, and will you recommend to all Ghanaians who have not acquired Ghana card to acquire one?
I said earlier in response to a question on passport reforms that I'm even seeking to collaborate with the Ministry of Communication so that those who have Ghana card who already have their biometrics in the system should not have to go back to the passport office to take their biometrics. That we need to have our systems synchronized. They have to integrate, talk to each other, and instead of these silos that we are promoting. So clearly, I believe in having a national ID system, and this has been in the works for many years. I recall that Professor Mills, President Mahama, and even before them, all governments have played their role in making sure that we have a national ID for our country. So I don't see how anybody will oppose a national ID system.
nominee. My next question to you, my next question to you has to do with my next question to you has to do with your tax. Now, yes, honorable member. Now, pay attention to the details thereon. Your 2023 and 2024 tax clearance certificate. Now, on your CV, you indicate that you haven't had any gainful employment in the private sector since you left school, from the CV you provided. The CV you provided, you've done any private work, you've not been in any employment outside of your political appointment. Do you maintain that?
It's not factual. I'm wondering if you have the right CV. Do you have my 10-page CV? Because I've been,
let's do step by step, please.
So that is not factual. You're
okay, please don't worry. Kindly, since you have perhaps the correct one before you, let's go. Take us to the gainful employment component of your CV.
If you come with me to page 7 of my CV, you see that as a student at the University of Ghana, I was the campus manager of Carrera Computers Resource Center at the University of Ghana. It was above Ekwafu Hall, the Ekwafu Hall JCR, and my mates know that I did employ some of them as a campus manager. This was a campus job. And before that job as well, I taught computers at Cosmopolitan Computer Systems in Koko. Some of my students are here doing national service. I meet them every day. And then we talked earlier about service solutions. So it is not accurate to say that I've never worked in the private sector.
Thank you very much. So the campus job, you were a full-time student at Legon, correct?
Yes, I was.
This job you were doing on campus was a part-time job, correct?
Yes, I mean, I've always loved to work. Yes, I believe in the dignity of work.